Leaks from the upcoming tell-all book, supposedly tell-all, from Jim Comey seem kind of more tabloid than telling. The former FBI director reportedly reveals such nuggets as President Trump's hands are smaller than his. Trump's ties are too long. And he looks like he's using tanning goggles. For good measure, Comey also reportedly calls Trump unethical and a liar. Democrats may swoon over the book, just as they cheered Comey's role in the Russia investigation. But many are still livid, let's face it, over Comey's reopening of the Hillary Clinton email investigation late in the campaign, believing it could have cost her the election. Our next guest, former Clinton advisor Philippe Reines, has some choice thoughts on Comey. And also joining us, former White House press secretary Ari Fleischer. Gentlemen, great to see you. Now, I'm sorry, this book, if usually you put out your really hot stuff, to get people to buy. I go to the Barnes & Noble. If this is all they have, or most of what he had, I think it's a big snore. I do not see why this book is even going to sell copies. But let's start with the personal stuff, because it seems very petty. Ari.
Well, he called him a congenital liar, actually, and an unethical man. And my point here, Laura, is if that's what the head of the FBI thought about the commander-in-chief, the president, to whom he does report, even though he has a 10-year term and is independently appointed, the president runs the executive branch, the honorable thing would have been for James Comey to resign. That's what he should have done. How can he work for somebody he considers unethical? And he does work for the president. He is the FBI director, one of the most important and powerful positions in government that answers to the president. And so the honorable thing, if that's what he thought, would be to resign. He didn't do that. And the James Comey I know has always been a grandstander, is still a grandstander, and this book just shows that even more so.
There's an interesting tweet today by former FBI agent James Gagliano. I'm going to read it. James Comey book, section 2.4 of FBI's pre-publication review manual covers prohibited disclosures. FBI employees shall not disclose information that relates to the substantive merits of any ongoing or open investigation or case. Just going to leave that right there. The implication being he shouldn't be talking about this investigation or anything close to it. Philippe.
Well, look, I have more reason than you or Ari or anyone watching to disparage Jim Comey. He in no way helped Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump, I can make the argument, wouldn't be in the White House now without him.
And Hillary Clinton did, in part, right?
Yeah, and I believe that, and I think Donald Trump would be in Trump Tower or Towering Inferno, which I think I now call it.
Come on.
I know, I had
to. That's bad.
I had to.
That's bad.
But
liberals really celebrating the fact that someone, expired in Trump Tower.
I think it's.
I get criticized for
no one.
But that's kind of a wild thing. No repercussions for those comments.
No repercussions for.
Yeah. So,
moving on.
But listen, Paul, I want to see Paul Begala. This is interesting because you probably agree with him. He said Mr. Comey needs to put his big boy pants on, admit that his unethical actions swung the election to Trump, and beg for forgiveness, basically on the book tour.
Yep.
My Aunt Fanny's bean dip makes me mildly nauseous. Comey swinging the election to Trump makes me sick. That's a Begala line. I love that.
Look, I agree. Every time I see him, I throw up a little bit in my mouth, the idea that he's a sanctimonious, righteous, self-involved person. But a word that I've not used with him and I don't believe is I don't think he's a liar. If you don't like him, you don't like what the book says, don't buy the book. He's trying to sell a book. But this is not what's happened. We are where we are. This is about Bob Mueller. Bob Mueller is in the middle of doing something, and we don't know what he's doing, but we know what the Republican Party is doing. We know what the president is doing. They're doing everything they can to stop this man.
Well, like the Democrats tried to, the Democrats tried to, go after Ken Starr in the 90s.
But I don't think that's a good example because Ken Starr started in '94 and actually went on beyond Bill Clinton being in office. So I don't know why. What is everyone afraid of to just let this man do his job?
Well, I think what people are afraid. Yeah, go ahead, Ari.
There's another issue, and it's James Comey's judgment, which gets to the core of whether he did a good job as the head of the FBI. And take the investigation of Hillary. Whether you agree with what he found or didn't, James Comey had no role or responsibility to usurp the duties of the Attorney General at the Department of Justice and decide that no reasonable prosecutor would settle this case. The proper thing to do would have been to silently make his findings known to the Department of Justice and let justice act. But Comey couldn't do that because he couldn't resist the camera. And so he had to go out and hold a news conference where he concluded basically everything other than the law, that Hillary broke the law. And then he said, but no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute this
Well, Ari,
case.
he allowed Peter Strzok and a couple of others to edit the remarks, too, to make them not comport with the statute.
This is my point about his judgment.
So, I mean, how do you do that? I want to.
But again,
can I read an excerpt?
Where we are.
Yeah, well, that's true. We are where we are.
But
what
my
does
point,
that mean,
as people read James Comey's
I agree with most of what Ari said and you saying about Jim
yeah.
Comey, but so what? Just don't buy his book.
Let me read.
People read his book, they need to understand the context of who he is.
I want to read this one thing. This is a full screen, another excerpt from the book that came out today. It is entirely possible that because I was making decisions in an environment where Hillary Clinton was sure to be the next president, my concern about making her an illegitimate president by concealing the restarted investigation bore greater weight than it would have if the election appeared closer or if Donald Trump were ahead in all the polls. But I don't know.
Jim Comey did everything wrong prior to Election Day. And I really don't care whether he says sorry, apology not accepted.
Yeah. Is this Comey's standard, justice by polling, Ari?
Comey's standard
justice by polling.
He is enjoying being the hero and the victim and the spotlight and the author and the guest. We all have to endure it for 15 minutes. But he started something that was based on legitimacy that has been handed over to Bob Mueller almost a year ago.
Based on legitimacy. I mean, we could do an hour on that, whether it was a legitimate opening of an investigation.
You have 19
we just did a
people
whole
indicted.
segment on it.
You have 5 people who are agreeing to cooperate.
Yeah, we could go through. We could go through. A floor of any building. We could, if you want to indict someone, you can indict someone.
Mueller being a problem. Can I read something? Mueller was, quote, a person of high ideals, a clear sense of purpose,
we're not going to do that,
and a tested devotion. It's not a Nobel Prize. Do you know who said that?
It's Republicans. That doesn't mean anything.
It's Ari.
Oh, Ari, so
it's from July 2001.
I still believe that. Wait a minute, Philippe. All right, you talked enough. I still believe that about Bob Mueller. I've always said about Bob Mueller. Bob Mueller is not James Comey. But what James Comey shows is that prosecutors who have bad judgment will make mistakes, and not everybody is perfect at the Department of Justice or the FBI. That's a interesting and important reminder for Bob Mueller as he goes forward. But when we know about James Comey, and you said it, Philippe, is that the things he did before the election were wrong, and that goes back to the Bush administration, too, when he grandstanded on one of the intelligence programs that we had and created this whole drama about himself when there was a program the FBI had previously approved, the Justice Department previously approved, and then James Comey had this dramatic moment at a hospital to reverse everything the Department of Justice previously did. The man in a town of grandstanders is one of the biggest.
Yeah, he's one of the top. I got to read another. We got to go through the book because it's fun. This is like pillow talk here.
I'd love to read the whole thing.
This is Comey. This is Comey on Loretta Lynch and whether she was impartial. The source and content of that material remains classified as I write this. Had it become public, the unverified material, this is material he has on Loretta Lynch, would undoubtedly have been used by political opponents to cast serious doubt on the Attorney General's independence in connection with the Clinton investigation. So we find out in this book that there is information that may call into question the Attorney General's independence in overseeing
but we already
this
know
investigation.
What that refers to.
What? No, we don't.
We do. He left it out because he's embarrassed. The Washington Post reported months ago
it's not confirmed.
That he fell for a fake email that someone in the Clinton campaign sent to a woman named Loretta Lynch, who was an energy lobbyist in California. Well, I mean, the guy is naive. The guy is a rube. But again, Bob Mueller is the man we should be talking about. Bob Mueller was appointed by Bush.
When he writes his book, we're talking
about Comey because he's writing a book. That's exactly right.
But he's writing a book that led to the investigation.
But Philippe, here's the other thing. Comey has been deified by the press corps. The press corps loved him when he took on Bush. They loved him when he let Hillary go, and now they love him because he's saying bad things about Trump.
Now, he loves his moment in the sun.
And the press loves putting him there. And I bet you on his tour, nobody's going to ask him hard questions. The press is not going to pin him back, such as you said that you leaked that memo to the Columbia University professor. Who else did you routinely leak things to when you were the FBI director?
We're out of time, guys. But yeah, we forgot to mention that. Writing memos.
I'd love to know these
Anyone who gets
answers.
in the car and writes a memo to the file is not someone I trust. Sorry, that's a CYA type of memo. I don't like that.
I'm doing that when
go ahead, have fun in the car.